So I think we have seen that under the federal administration, there has not been an infrastructure effort. There's been a lot of talk about it, but it hasn't happened. So we need to really work on funding transit ourselves at the state level. And many states have done that. Over the past 6 years, over 30 states have raised transportation revenue, and many of them have invested a lot in transit. And Illinois has not. Our gas tax, which is our motor fuel tax, which is the primary funding source at the state level, has not been raised since 1991. So we've lost a ton of purchasing power for transportation. And there is a need to raise money at the state level for all forms of transportation statewide. Currently, the state does not provide any capital funding for transit. They provide operations funding, but not capital funding. So that's for the vehicles and the rails, the hard maintenance of infrastructure. And so there's a need for funding for capital maintenance. Compared to other regions, say Washington, D.C. or New York, where they've had catastrophic transit failures, we haven't had that yet, but we could very well be next if we don't maintain our system. We have a very mature and very extensive system, and we have a huge backlog of maintenance. We also have a lot of opportunities that we are missing by not being able to do even the most basic expansions. Like just an example is the innovation of paced running buses on the shoulder along I-55. That's been really successful. There's enough demand to run more buses. They don't have the money to even add more buses to that. So we have presented, there are 3 economic studies that have been done in the Chicago region over the past 2 decades that show that $1 invested in transit will yield up to $3 in regional economic benefits in terms of safety, reduction in congestion, public health outcomes. We also did some additional research that shows that transit offers a real measure of resilience to the region. For example, during the economic downturn about 10 years ago, where everywhere else in the region we lost jobs, areas within a transit station area actually gained a few jobs. We also see that around transit, the vacancy rates in buildings is a lot lower. We see that job growth tends to be higher around transit stations. And so there's a real resilience that is brought to the region by transit.